A story about HUDs, human underground dwellers without that cannibalistic bullshit.
I'm not prepared to pursue my line of inquiry any further, as I think this is getting too silly.
Quite agree, quite agree. Silly, silly, silly. Right, get on with it. Get on with it!
Boy! Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Catbus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guest and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety, 4 FOR, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Hello there. So I'm a month early for all of my admiration to Christopher Lambert. His birthday is actually March 29th. So all things considered, it's kind of fun having the last 2 weeks of I Dig Crazy Flicks with Catbus Russ be dedicated to Lambert in some form. Thus, I got around to watching Subway from 1985, an early Luc Besson feature. It was classified as 1985 action, and since this episode's going to be my conversation with Nick's Eclips from the Cinema Shit Show in regards to 1985 action movies from the GalaxyCon's St. Louis convention, I figured, well, this just seems serendipitous. Some more Christopher Lambert for the podcast, and this is definitely Cinema de Luc. I was just doing a little Wikipedia research on Subway. This is definitely more a look over substance. I wouldn't call this an action movie by any stretch of the imagination. There's a fun car sequence, car chase, to start the movie with no real action except driving off a ledge. Otherwise, yeah, it just looks cool. Christopher Lambert in the stolen car, putting tapes in, trying to find a good one, tossing it out the window, getting rear-ended by his pursuers. But then after that, it's just some foot chases and a unnecessarily tragic end, but it's French, it's the 80s. So this is a French language film. Christopher Lambert plays Fred, a man who really is just out to form a musical group to make up for the fact that he cannot sing. And for some reason, he has an obsession with birthdays, which allows him to enter the home of Helena, played by Isabelle Adjani. She's probably best remembered for Possessor. But I don't know, when I was looking over her stuff on Google, I think she may have done some voice work on the French version of Wish, so more power to her. He finds a file after blowing up her safe, which is just a hobby of his. So, okay, one explosion, and decides to blackmail her initially for 20,000 francs. Then, just as the drama grows, the number gets moved around. The trade-off doesn't go as planned, and he escapes to the corridors of the Paris Metro subway system and meets all the people who are living in there. Thief who's known for just making all his crimes using roller skates. Jean Reno as a aspiring drummer who just can't stop tapping his sticks all the time. You get a strong guy. So a little community there, and Helena is just fascinated by Fred. And later on we find out that I think she's using it to possibly escape her marriage of convenience. And of course, the people pursuing him are the hired guns of her husband. It might just be better for him to be arrested than found by his lackeys. So as I say, it's a style over substance movie. It's fun, and it just kind of goes into some weird places. More of an observation piece, kind of a nice little hangout in a sense. Beautifully shot. I will give him Luc Besson that much credit. But then again, it just, as I say, kind of a hangout movie. Being in French kind of makes it difficult unless you can find a dub version, which I'm not going to suggest that. I have a thing about dub live action. I think the mouth motions and everything, it only is suited to be seen in its original language, while anime, all the mouth movements are the same, so again, more dubs over subs. Just my opinions, hot takes, what have you. So, but it's got some nice 80s music type vibes. It's got a good sense of humor, I should just say that. I think it kind of drags once we find out that Helena is just a woman stuck in a marriage and hates it, but what else are you supposed to do? Live on your own, I suppose? Or stick with Mr. Moneybags? It's worth seeing if you want to see early Christopher Lambert or early Luc Besson. And as I say, it's got a good sense of humor to it, stylistically shot well, so you see all the groundwork for what these actors and directors will become, but it's kind of just for the history, dare I say. Probably something you could show at a bar and people will be fascinated by the looks of it. So that's what I kind of mean by a hangout, I suppose, in a sense. That would be Subway.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
After a 10-hour workday, it's about 11 p.m. when I finally get around to finalizing my podcast and uploading it to the internet. So I definitely need a lot of energy, but I don't need all that caffeine, so I rely on Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. It's a coffee fruit extract, so you get about as much caffeine as a cup of coffee, but you get all the vitamins you could possibly wish for and all the energy, and about half the price. If you spend $4 a shift on energy drinks, you're spending $80 on sugar per month. Why don't you cut that in half and try Dubby Energy Blend? And if you go and visit dubby.gg and use the promo code CatBusRuss at checkout, you're going to save yourself 10%. So on top of spending half the money, you can at least go and get one over on the taxman. So that's dubby.gg, promo code CatBusRuss, and start feeling energized today.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
The following podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Any unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liabilities, criminal prosecution, or the wrath of the tall man. Boy! Alright, so this is officially an I Did Crazy Flicks podcast, and I Did Crazy Flicks panel. I am your host, CatBusRuss. Joining me is a little more local gentleman. I'm from Champaign, Illinois, by way of Peoria. I got some fun conversation with Bruce Campbell about that at the autograph table. That guy just schooled me. Schooled me when I tried to ask him a question during the panel.
I felt bad for you, buddy.
Oh, no. That was a better... I've burned out far greater, so I'm calling it a win. You know, you get punked out. I've never been punked out by a guest. So, all right. So, this panel is the 1985 action movie Triple Threat Match. So, our participants from New York, New York, star of Rambo: First Blood Part 2 and Rocky IV. Two movies that were in the top 10 box office of the year in question. Sylvester Stallone from Austria, weighing in, well, can't give too many. We know Arnold Schwarzenegger, star of Commando, his only feature this year, but I would say the first feature where we really got to know Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wait, wasn't he in Red Sonja that year?
Yeah, it's like talking about Taco Bell from Heretic. We don't talk about Taco Hell. All right, so, but hey, at least he's got multiple features to chat about, and the underdog, as always, And you gotta respect the fight they put up. The Cannon Group. They are being represented by Charles Bronson with Death Wish 3, Michael Dudikoff in American Ninja, and Chuck Norris in Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, and a lot more fun, Invasion USA.
Yeah, they probably should have done the beginning first.
Well, the funny story about The Beginning is that they actually did shoot that first, but they knew once they got word that Rambo 2 was going to be about going back to Vietnam to save the troops, Cannon decided, we got to switch the release dates. So they probably rushed Missing in Action, the original, for 1984, just so they could beat Stallone to the punch. That was the Cannon business model, alongside going to the Cannes Film Festival and coming up with cool-looking posters, but no movie to be sold, no movie made for these posters. In other words, that looks awesome. It's like going to a video store back in the day. The cool box art can do so much for you. So somebody buys the box art, and then they make the movie. And this is really the last days of Cannon. It's definitely their downfall. As I say, Nick is a horror expert, so that might be pushing it, but he's well versed in it, no question there.
I'm like an idiot savant, except for the savant part.
Mm-hmm. So in 1985, they had their biggest budget movie, I think, of all, because we go later on, they had a lot of money to work with when it came to Superman 4, but that money was pretty much taken away so they could do other movies. It's like, as long as we can keep making movies, we'll be fine, was their philosophy. That was 1987 was that, and they also had Masters of the Universe, where they infamously, they ran out of money and they had to shoot on a soundstage, no lights or anything like that for the finale. But you gotta love their plucky attitude. But the movie that destroyed them was Life Force. They hired Tobe Hooper to a 3-picture deal, and Life Force was the first one to come out, about space vampires riding the Halley's Comet, and written by one of the writers of Alien and the director of Return of the Living Dead from the same year.
Dan O'Bannon.
Yes. And it's probably going to be most remembered for all the posters of a nude Matilda May. Yes, there I see the nods. So it's good to come to a crowd so many times I say Life Force, and it's like, what? Okay, if Matilda May being naked doesn't sell you on it, how about Patrick Stewart making out with Steve Railsback?
I saw this on cable with unrated, and I rented it unrated. But then they played it on local television, like their channel 11. And so every time Matilda May is on the screen, she's like almost a ghost. It's all blurred out, and she's just a head floating. It was amazing.
I've seen images of a infamous, I think it was Indonesian horror movie with just a head floating around.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't remember
the name. Right. So that's the stories. That's our lineup.
You haven't really introduced me, my friend.
Okay, well, all right. Obviously, Cat plus Russ. I did Crazy Flicks podcast. Nick's Eclips. I think I did say Nick's Eclips. I don't think I gave you all the formalities. He's the horror expert because he does a podcast as well, and it is called The Cinema Shit Show.
But the movies aren't the problem. It's your hosts, myself, and my friend Ben. We don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it anyway. We have a lot of laughs and we have a lot of fun. We do not take ourselves seriously. We also don't do all horror. We've also done some comedies and stuff. So you may find something that piques your interest if you give us a shot.
But he will go through the trouble, though, going to the Internet Archive. He recently did a podcast about the movie The Cat.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was told, you have to cover this at some point. And I was like, yeah, I can't find it. And then, when in doubt, Internet archives. You can see about anything. I have my older sister. Oh, you got to try to do a panel for Doctor Who in November. It's like, yeah, I don't know anything about Doctor Who. I know Eric Roberts was the master in the Fox TV movie for it. Maybe I could talk about that, but where am I going to find the movie? And then another podcast I listened to, friends of the show, Collateral Cinema, they were talking about how they got a friend to watch The Room, because the only way you can watch The Room is on the Internet Archive or buy the DVD directly from Tommy Wiseau. And
Or on riff tracks.
do they have the movie, though, or is it just the riffs?
Oh, that's right. It was way back in the day, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. You had to sync it up yourself.
But,
Sorry.
No. So, all right, we got the formalities out of the way. I jumped, you're a horror guy, so it's like I jumped right to the horror and forgot about you. Okay, so I'm personally, I guess you'd say, my favorite 85 action movie is Commando. I mean, and when you think about it compared to the other movies we'll chat about, it's the only one that doesn't ruin anything necessarily. But I think I skipped my primary reason for picking out 1985, B-sides for the 40th anniversary, and looks well. I shouldn't say anything more. Like, well, it looks like the audience is prepared for that. No, I don't want to. I don't want to guess any ages here. I learned that the hard way. But 1985 action movies could just be violent for the sake of violence. That is what Commando is. That's when you look at Death Wish 3 with Charles Bronson. That just gets mean with its violence. And then you have Chuck Norris, who, I think he only threw maybe 3 kicks in Invasion USA. Otherwise, he's wandering around with twin Uzis shooting like a stormtrooper. But it's Chuck Norris. The bullets will do what he tells them to do. I got that from Aaron Reynolds from the Effin' Birds table when I brought it up to him. That guy actually has some crazy movies you can find on Tubi. Look for Galaxy Warriors or Nano Shark. I mean, I think we're probably going to both watch Nano Shark this week.
Yeah, you sold me on it. You guys have heard of Fantastic Voyage? Yeah, it's like that, except they miniaturize a shark to go in and eat the tuna.
And of course, it doesn't do what it's told, so they got to go chase the shark. All right, so, but after 1985, I think things kind of, I don't know what the immediate change was, probably box office, because I don't think there was officially a $100 million movie from 86 or 87 domestically. Worldwide, different story, but like your biggest movie would be RoboCop. And when you think about RoboCop, yes, it's violent, but it is satire. You watch, I get more out of seeing the SUX 6000 ads than I really do, and just the sheer corporate nature of it, than the actual violence. It's fun to see Robo shoot a guy in the dick, but
yeah, it definitely is not taking itself seriously at all with all that. My favorite one is the guy that falls into the toxic waste and
then he crawls out and then gets made into a bug splatter, and you had great actors in it too. I mean, everybody knew what the joke was, which is funny because then probably after Total Recall, the next movie people think about when it comes to the director, Paul Verhoeven, is probably Starship Troopers, which nobody got the satire in that feature right away, which is part of the fun of rediscovering that one.
Your cable TV is experiencing difficulties. Please do not panic. Resist the temptation to read or talk to loved ones. Do not attempt sexual relations, as years of TV radiation have left your genitals withered and useless.
Well, I'll be damned.
Hey, Catbus Russ here. Just popping in from my home in Urbana, Illinois, to let you know that there were some technical difficulties at this point during the panel. For whatever reason, the Yeti microphone quit communicating with the MacBook Air, so the rest of this podcast or panel was recorded using the MacBook Air's microphone. So it's going to be a mono to stereo recording conversion, so I'm sorry if it gets a little dicey. Thank you very much for your patience, and thank you, Nick's Eclips, for picking up on that error when it happened. I was kind of busy handing out punch and pie to the audience. So thanks again, Nick's. We might have some further collaborations down the line, which leads me into how you can help the podcast out. First of all, you can rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast app, 5 stars preferably. Be as honest as you like to be in the comments. I will learn from them. I will learn to be a better podcaster, or I will learn if you're just a troll. You could also help the podcast out by subscribing to the I Dig Crazy Flicks Patreon. That's patreon.com/I Dig Crazy Flicks. There, for $3, I will send you out a waterproof sticker or refrigerator magnet. I use them both to promote my podcast at my currently part-time job. But you know what? Don't worry about giving $3 to me. Think about Ava the Queen Kitty. She's a queen, so that's royalty, and that's 3 tins of cat food for her. So, you know, if we get up those numbers high enough, she is going to be fed forever. And I will greatly appreciate that. Alongside your sticker or magnet, you'll get a shout out as long as you're a subscriber. So thank you, AAW wrestling personality, The Scoop Staley. Another underappreciated character, if I do say so myself. Thank you, Dad. And thank you, Tim Bates. You can find him on past episodes of this podcast on this feed, so you don't have to go to Patreon for it. Tim Bates, he is featured on the episode about Blood, Sport, and Space, Arena from 1989, and the horror comedy classic Night of the Demons. But the best way you can help the podcast out is come on the show and be a guest. If you've got a theme, a director, an actor, a movie, as long as the content of whatever is off the wall, I will happily talk about it. But if it's not bonkers, if it's between 70 and 100 minutes, I will give it a go. Just listen to Screen Draft's Richard Linklater, Ethan Hawke draft. So I'm due at some point to listen to or I should say watch, the Before trilogy. So if you want to push me over that edge, I'm more than welcome to give you 40 minutes on Zoom at the very least. So let me just finish up the formalities. Before I get to the final formalities, let me also state that patreon.com/I Dig Crazy Flicks is where you'll find ad-free episodes of this podcast, and also access to the original 90forchill.com, the podcast feed, as I move it from the conservative-leaning Podbean app to Patreon. Let me thank Station Marie Harden for keeping an eye on me, keeping me out of too much trouble, and I hope she's doing the same for everybody else she touched in her life, and I hope she's squeezing the ectoplasm out of the most jellicle of kitties, Skimbleshanks, the one-eared angel. So without any further ado, I will get back to St. Louis.
Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite?
Checking it out, okay.
Look at that.
Good old mono. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Again, this is I Dig Crazy Flicks presents 1985 triple threat match Schwarzenegger versus Stallone versus the Cannon Group. And so we were discussing, what we were going into was how action movies just couldn't be violent anymore after 1985. Like, you have the satire of RoboCop, which kind of softens it. It's just not violence for the sake of violence, dare I say. Everything has to make sense. Arnold Schwarzenegger just can't go and not be shot by an entire army. And the cruelty to poor little Tommy, to poor little Sully, getting his expectations busted.
He was lied to.
Okay, so and then got to 1989, where action could suddenly be PG-13 because parents wanted to take their kids to see Batman. And then I'd say it all went to, I'd say until we got to The Matrix, or at least got the Hong Kong influence. Like, it was, all the great action was kind of being imported in a sense. You had the Bourne features with close choreography and the shaky cam. That was its own thing. I would say it wasn't until Keanu Reeves put on a black suit again did action movie really pick up again. So that's what, and so that was, John Wick was 2014, so that essentially meant we had a 30-year drought of just being violent and mean and not in a horror sense. Nix can go and talk about, well, it's not the place for it, but French Extremity kind of set a new standard for that, and then you had the torture porn of Saw. Yeah. So I don't know how we ended up with, if it's going to be violent, it's going to be a horror movie, and, if it's pew, 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 it's going to be for the kids, I suppose, is where I'm at. Because, hell, parents would take their kids to see Saving Private Ryan in 1998. Oh, because it's historic. Well, you really want to scar your children with that? Good luck getting them to enlist after the doors open on the lander.
And then even later, Schwarzenegger himself wanted to soften his, persona, especially with Last Action Hero.
Yeah, he really ruined a great R-rated Shane Black script. Instead of being meta, he wanted the kids to come to the movie.
Yeah.
And it was John McTiernan on top of that, the guy who gave us Predator, which you could say, oh, that was a violent movie, but definitely not as over the top as these movies. The body count, you lose a platoon of Nicaraguan commies, and the helicopter you only get to see the aftermath of. So it's basically, let's count down from 7 and see who makes it out. And then Die Hard kind of changed things because it was the movie where this guy does not look like Schwarzenegger, Stallone, even Norris.
And he gets hurt.
Yes. So frailty. 1985, everybody's invincible except the friends of Sylvester Stallone. We're talking Apollo Creed. We are talking Julianne Nicholson, I think it is, the Vietnam contact in Rambo.
Oh yeah.
She can take a bullet. Stallone can't. And then, and the idea of the violence for the sake of violence. Rambo: First Blood Part 2 destroys the message of the first Rambo movie.
Yeah,
First Blood.
Because it seems like he enjoys killing now.
Well, that's a joke in Hot Shots Part 2 with Miguel Ferrer losing his will to kill and Charlie Sheen talking him back into it. And that comes around again in the A-Team movie when Quentin Rampage Jackson's B.A. Baracus is like, no, I don't kill anymore. And he's got to work up the nerve to kill again. So one's a comedy, one is crap. So
I haven't seen the A-Team movie. I'm fine remembering the fond memories from my childhood of the television show.
Yeah. Well, I do have a soft spot for Sharlto Copley, I think is his name. Sharlto Copley, yes. Yeah. The South African actor, best known for District 9.
Yes.
If you need a weird looking guy, I guess he's our not my generation, obviously, but millennials, Willem Dafoe, in a sense.
Oh yeah, and he was in that Hardcore Henry, which
sounds... Hardcore Henry is awesome.
I didn't think I'd be able to make it through, but yeah, the way they made it was really good. It's not a porn. It's a first-person action film.
Yeah, a bunch of Russian stuntmen with GoPros play Henry. So, I guess, we can either go with the path of just throwing it out there, who do you favor in this, or, I'd like to give canon a little more respect, because you, again, frequent movies and pretty wide verse. Like, they bought the rights to the Death Wish franchise and did Death Wish 3. And in a sense, that's kind of like Eastwood had been doing for the since 2000 or so, like the "Get Off My Lawn" guy. Except now Charles Bronson developed a taste for it, Paul Kersey. And then I say it's a very mean movie, not because of what Paul Kersey's doing. It's that, like, I like Hong Kong action when you see collateral damage happen, like Hard Boiled. Not a good day to be a nurse at that hospital. But when it comes to, say, Death Wish 3, when you have a gang war breakout, the good people are getting their slide guns made to take on the gang led by a guy who essentially was just bad to Lana Lane in Superman 3. I can't recall his name.
We were just talking about that. You didn't look it up.
I did not look it up. But they eventually start going door to door, just wasting people. And it's like, oh, okay, that's even a little mean for me. I didn't need that. And then you go to Invasion USA, where that is just a message of fascism.
Yes.
Chuck Norris is totally bloodthirsty.
He's a one-man army.
Yeah, one-man army. But then even when they think, oh, well, set up his arrest, he goes on the camera and just basically says, oh, your partner, that was fun. You are business. And again, he shoots a lot and only throws 3 kicks in the movie. So, and then probably the most fun I have with a canon movie from that year is American Ninja with Michael Dudikoff, who didn't know anything about martial arts when he took that role on. The only reason he got the role was because Chuck Norris did not want to cover his face.
And now it's his whole thing, being an action star, right, Dudikoff?
Dudikoff's career, primarily action movies. I think Cyber Tracker, it was a fun try-hard movie, as they like to call it on Bad Movie Bible.
Right.
But I think with Cannon, he once they started shooting in South Africa during apartheid, he kind of flaked out. He's not the American Ninja in American Ninja 3. He does come back for 4. I think they really wanted to get, again, names not coming to immediate mind. They really wanted to give the franchise over to the black guy, his sidekick in that movie.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah, but no, he's in a lot of Cannon movies. Familiar face, you'd know him if you saw him. So that's what Cannon offered.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Not only that, but they also, and I got to ask him yesterday about this, they had a Lou Ferrigno starring movie called The Adventures of Hercules, or just Hercules, where he throws a bear into space and it becomes Ursa Major, the constellation. And instead of fighting like real monsters and whatnot, they're all stop motion robots, giant robots and stuff. It is absolutely a treasure.
That is one way to describe it. I listened to How Did This Get Made, and that was Jason Mantzoukas saying, oh yeah, my parent, it's Greek mythology. My parents took us to see that movie, and we walked out halfway through. First time they ever did that. I think that was 1982. Maybe the sequel, which uses half. That's a fun thing about the 80s, was when you had movies that would use half of the original movie to fill up the runtime. The most famous example of that would be Silent Night, Deadly Night, where that is like basically, okay, we established the new character, and then let's see how he got insane, became an insane Santa Claus by showing you the 45 minutes of the first movie. Context not necessary, they thought. And I'm thinking with Canon again. Well, no, I think I'm done with Canon, unless Nix comes with another surprise outside of Hercules. But it's fun. But I will give you credit though, because you were telling me about the Lou Ferrigno panel and how the GalaxyCon's staff was not aware of
Yeah, they didn't think it was a real thing.
Throwing a bear into space. So the next, I pretty much went through, we'll get to Commando, but the next one would be Stallone with 2 movies. Yes, Nick's brought up that Schwarzenegger had 2 movies, but again, we're not going to talk about Red Sonja. Bridget Nielsen just screwed up everything she touched in a sense.
I don't know what the deal was, because she's better than that.
She is, no, I mean, she's fine. I like Cobra, which was another canon movie, and no, she's fine in Rocky 4. But yeah, canon I'll say for next year to try to come up with a new equation for that 40 years. But Stallone was solely riding on patriotism to get him to the top of the box office in '85. Like the Rocky 4 being about about Rocky versus the Russian, and Rambo 2 being about going back and finally winning the Vietnam War.
So he solved the Cold War and he ended the Vietnam War.
Right, like, yeah, that's, again, it defeats the message of PTSD from First Blood, and he really just sold Rocky out. Why did he have to come back? Like, would Rocky come out of retirement if it wasn't for the commies? Like, there's just no reason that we had that patriotic stop, and it was fun. I did a 1985 movies panel in Indianapolis earlier this year, and it was fun. The person hosting that panel basically said, "So, are there any Rocky 5 defenders like her?" It's like, yeah, Rocky 5 makes a hell of a lot more sense than Rocky 4. It's just a depressing mess to see. And never mind the fact, why would you put Paulie in charge of her estate? The guy couldn't hold a job barely held a job to begin with. And Commando is my favorite '85 action movie just because we finally get to know Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, I'm partial to Conan the Destroyer because that was the only one I could watch since it was PG. And
that was a bad decision on the studio's part.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, really, you can't say bad decision when you bring us Schwarzenegger versus Wilt Chamberlain and Andre the Giant.
Okay.
Never mind Grace Jones getting to go nuts.
Oh yeah.
And you have Mako in there as well. I mean, and the little Weasley guy ends up being Bob in Batman.
Oh, you're my number
one guy.
He was also in Drive with Mark Dacascos.
Yeah.
Bad guy.
Oh yeah. He was working all the time, just blinking. You kind of have to squint. He was that guy, obviously. Since I can't come up with his name off the top of my head, not a Joey Pants level yet. So, but Commando, let's make Schwarzenegger actually act. Let's have him do dialogue, and they decided dialogue was just going to be one-liners. And how can you not really? And the violence is so ridiculous. It's like, is it okay to laugh at this? And yeah, that's basically what I think. You could say that Commando allowed us to laugh at death. I'm a little arrogant person, I acknowledge that. I went back to college for a screenwriting course solely for that, which not enough people signed up for, and it took 3 years. It took 2 years for me to get to that course finally. Already had another associate's brought in. But during my writing courses, in the meantime, I had a instructor who said death is never funny. And it's like, okay, now you just turned me into Kate Winslet from Heavenly Creatures.
Oh.
Don't give me an excuse to put a brick in a sock.
Sorry, you brought up something. I worked at a video store back in the day, probably a Tuesday. And a girl came in and she was like, I want to watch a good movie, And I'm like, oh, well, Heavenly Creatures, that would be really good. It's such a good movie. She comes back the next day to return to the tape, and she goes, what were you thinking? It was Mother's Day. I was watching it with my mother.
Oh, I can't remember who that Kate Winslet's character became a famous author, and it took a while to discover for that to catch up with her. So yeah, I think we've now laid out what we have. We have, I guess, in a sense, thinking too, Bruce Campbell being the star of the con. In my opinion, I know Weird Al's center, what have you, but he's not going to be in Columbus, which is the next con, or at least that's what the schedule indicates. If it was basically, I'd say Commando allowed Splatstick to really kind of settle in, because again,
That's your word.
Thank you. Now you're giving me PTSD from the panel. Because we're laughing along with Schwarzenegger as he's brutalizing people. Again, the scar, I mean, the cruelty of Sully. He made one joke about, maybe having a little extra fun if Schwarzenegger took his time with the mission with Alyssa Milano. And Schwarzenegger's line, I like you, Sully. You're a funny guy. That's why I'll kill you last. And I think he's the next guy to go.
Right.
I lied.
I think out of the two, because I never got to see Commando until later on VHS, and my friend was a huge Schwarzenegger fan. But I did see Rambo 2, First Blood Part 2, in the theater. When I must have been 11 years old. And yeah, I was just like, whoa, this is like the craziest thing I've ever seen. So that's my favorite out of the two.
Okay. Truthfully, I can, despite I trashed the concept of Rocky 4, if that is on and I'm in the midst of a montage in the movie, I am staying till the end. Give me that Hearts on Fire. And I do not and we almost got in an argument when I did this panel in Atlanta, and I probably would have lost because that guy was a assistant director on a lot of major movies. He was saying, oh, you got to see Rocky for Balboa versus Drago. And that just takes the piss out of the entire movie. Like, it's such a ridiculous concept to begin with. Yeah, let's settle the Cold War in the boxing ring. To go and take the humor out of the movie to make you focus. And I'm sure there's people who like that. Like, yeah, especially in this UFC generation, where we don't get to have, when UFC finally kind of started getting moving again, when they were purchased by Zuffa, they tried the wrestling entrances essentially. And seeing Carlos Newton come down the ring in an afro to Bootylicious. It's like that's the kind of spectacle I want in with my violence. And then that wasn't working for UFC, so it's just the walkout. You get their song, and they're just being all serious. It's in my history. I am actually an underemployed professional wrestler. There's always a suitcase full of tights in my car if I ever get that call. So and I chose professional wrestling over professional fighting because I don't really care about the wins and losses myself. It's about the performance. A bad martial arts fight, somebody goes down in a minute, unless it looks really highlight worthy. You wasted your entire money. At least with a wrestling match, there's a performance to it. You're going to get what you should get your money's worth. So what I'm getting at though is I don't really, since it's not, I have to bring it up because it was, I think, number 3 at the box office that year. Rocky 4. I wouldn't really consider it an action movie. It's more of a sports movie. So, Rambo 2 versus Commando right now. I do love American Ninja. Story of an amnesiac American who perfected the Asian arts when he was taken in by a master. And the military just doesn't want to believe it.
Wait, didn't Jim Cotta come out this year?
Oh, jeez. I don't know who produced Jim Cotta, distributed Jim Cotta, but yes. So I have a soft spot for gimmicks. Jim Cotta is garbage, though.
Oh yeah, it's delicious garbage though. Yeah, I'm hungry raccoon for delicious garbage. If anybody doesn't know, Jim Cotta is like a man is hired to go and basically to the fight island from the Bruce Lee flick.
Oh, that was Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon. So they hire him to go in there and do that because of his one skill, which is the pommel horse. So everywhere he goes,
he does go and get some parallel bars action.
And some parallel bars too. Yeah. So everywhere he goes, there's like gymnastics stuff like built into the scenery. It's absolutely hilarious.
And thinking now we had a gentleman here was like, well, you're talking about Chuck Norris, you got to talk about Bruce Lee. And I said, I can talk about Bruce Lee. I don't know if you're going to be happy with it. And this actually lets us talk about Jean-Claude Van Damme. In 1985, there's a movie called No Retreat, No Surrender, where a son and father have to move after a kind of a mafia of martial artists, or a mafia using martial artists to basically destroy all the other schools and control the scene. And he beats his dad up. He, the hired gun, is a Russian played by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Well, how did that sound?
He didn't have any dialogue, of course.
Oh, okay.
So, and then they moved from LA to Seattle, and he's getting bullied, picked on, like, basically the mafias of martial artists have
Thanks for coming back.
sold everybody that, oh, you know, this is the only school, everybody else is a poser. And so he chooses to study on his own, and at his lowest moment, though, the ghost of Bruce Lee comes to teach him everything he needs to know. So that's why I said, hey, you're not going to like the path of Bruce Lee. I first saw that movie as part of Mystery Science 3000 was doing a tour, and that was the movie they chose. So it was cool to see Joel Hodgson and the Bots do it live.
Yeah.
But so I think we have gotten to the point.
Are we gonna do a vote?
Yeah, let's just leave it. So fans of the Canon Group.
I'm a fan.
Okay. So the Canon Group's got 3, so it's gonna be tough. This is the best. This is the best performance they've had at this panel before. Let's go Commando. All right, we got 2. So, a Lone Stallone fan? Okay. Yeah. So, let's see. When we did this, so this being the 3rd time we've done the panel, and I'll probably get one more go at it. So, Stallone is lagging behind. Atlanta, it was a draw. We just determined that, well, we were arguing Schwarzenegger and Stallone, so let's just say they pinned the Canon Group at the same time. I mean, I guess they could do that, not even having to just stack themselves on one body. Somebody pinned Bronson, somebody pinned Dudikoff. You can't pin Chuck Norris, so the internet says so. I nearly got in trouble there by saying he's really not a great martial artist. Actor. Right. So, when I did this in Des Moines a month ago, it was a pretty solid Commando crowd. So, now Stallone is definitely taking the fall, I think.
Well, only here. I mean, if we were to go into other movies and so like Copland is amazing.
No. This is not about the career. This is about 1985. If I was doing careers, that's a tougher to get Comic-Cons to buy. Like, oh no, this is a 40th anniversary panel. That's why we'll put it here. So, all right. So we've gone about 45 minutes with the technical difficulties, but I'd like to leave it to the audience. Any action movies that you just think needs to be brought up? I'm not, no restrictions. Like underseen classics, dare I say.
I would say from 85, The Last Dragon.
Oh shoot, Bruce Leroy. Oh, I should have.
Show enough. Is that what we're?
Yeah.
All right.
William H. Macy early performance. Oh shoot. Yeah, very like. I don't think Apollonia is a great actress, so she is pretty. Yeah. I mean, I love Shona. The glow is so awesome when it finally happens. Oh, jeez. I think, sir, you may have saved the panel. Yeah, I have spoken, like, I did watch that for that 1985 panel, which was just the year in review. That was the argument that 1985 was the greatest year in cinema, was the argument there. And I said, no, you flipped your 5 upside down. 1982 is my opinion. Blade Runner, E.T., The Thing. But 99 is an awesome year. Fight Club, Magnolia. I would say 39, 82, and 99 are probably my picks. 94 is a tough one, though. I mean, Forrest Gump winning Best Picture is always going to sting, but you can't really say Forrest Gump's a bad movie.
Yeah, I can.
Don't tell him what he can't do.
I mean, it's
like a Uber jerk off party.
I'm not. Hey, I've been doing I went to a panel earlier today about calling off sick because a fictional character died. Which is really just a concept of fandom and how we might be taking it too seriously, dare I say, that the point that we're grieving, but it's not false. But we got to the point where cancel culture, and I kind of brought it up last night with Lenny Riefenstahl and G.W. Griffin. Brilliant filmmakers. And the separating the art from the artist is the problem with those with those creators, I should say. But I don't think Robert Zemeckis actually went out to make the boomer porn.
Yes, but it's just a very good example of a movie where it's all them going, do you see how good we are?
Yeah, patting ourselves on the back.
All the amazing things we did, and it's like,
The soundtrack needs 2 discs. We can't get all the great songs.
it's the movie version of We Didn't Start the Fire.
Oh, don't you to quote the boys? No. But to quote the boys, don't you besmirch Billy Joel? Oh no, I know he hates it, and it was a lot, and I love the fact that he just went after Fall Out Boy for that, because I've got my own history of Fall Out Boy. It was a wrestling match I had in Davenport. This is like my first match on the card. I was not expecting to be there. I had wrestled for a while, but I was with my trainer Danny Daniels, the guy who brought us Seth Rollins, who I've beaten as 6-man. But that's another. But worst match I had, like I didn't plan it. I'm getting one of their guys who definitely wasn't definitely not training like we were training, and they said, "Well, what do you want as entrance music?" And I said, "Well, I was wrestling under Russ Staley, so just throw some Alice in Chains in there and we're fine." And then the guy comes through the curtain. Okay, you're gonna come out once you start hearing "We're Going Down" by Fall Out Boy.
Oh, man.
And then just put me in a shit mood, and the match was absolute shit for it. So, but yeah, that's no. I get it's well, and I guess dare I say maybe celebrating 1985 is a mistake because that is like the boomers correcting everything. Like, yeah, we protested this, but if Rambo can win it for us, everything's good. And never mind oh geez, this is it's Ronald Reagan's wet dream, honestly, 1985 action movies. I mean, he even said, oh yes, I liked Rambo too. I wish we had more of them.
Well,
Script is flipped that fast from First Blood.
Yeah, it's
like night and day.
Yeah, no, he basically sold out the message of the first film. So, all right, I think we after coming for 85 and ending with Forrest Gump, I love that path. That's why this is officially a podcast, so I can have those tangents. But you can find me at CatBusRuss on most social medias except for Twitter, proudly blocked there, and Blue Sky preference. Rate and subscribe to the podcast, 5-star reviews. Be as honest in the comments as you'd like. I can take mean words. I can't take low stars. And if you ever want to be a guest on the podcast, just shoot an email to russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. I've got buttons to give to the back because who doesn't want to say they don't do crazy flicks? Yeah, you can be a guest on the show, and I'll bring it over to Nix to plug his stuff.
Thank you, sir. Again, I run Cinema Shit Show, and you can find me at Eclips. That's NIXECLIPS. No E at the end. All right, and I'm everywhere. Twitter, Blue Sky. We've got a Cinema Shit Show group on Facebook. We also invite anyone to come and join our show. You can email us at cinemashitshow@gmail.com. The rules are, first time you guest, we pick the film. You have to make your way through it. It could be a fun one. It could be a torture. It could be awful. And then when you come back the second time, if you wanna, you get to pick the movie, and you can pick whatever you want as long as it's free to watch. Tubi, Hoopla,
Pluto TV, Canopy,
Internet Archive, as long as anybody else can watch it. That's all we really ask for. And come and laugh and have a good time with us.
All right. Well, I do like to end my podcast thanking my best friend, Station Marie Harden, for keeping an eye on me, keeping me out of too much trouble, and I hope she's doing the same to everybody else she touched in her life, and I hope she's squeezing the ectoplasm out of the most jellicle of kitties, Skimbleshanks, the one-eared angel. And as always, I like to end it with a quote from David Tennant as Crowley from Good Omens. Can I get a wahoo?
Wahoo!
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
This podcast was made possible by the love and support of Dave and Cindy Stevens, Rory Stevens and Allison Higgins, Danny Daniels, and Stephanie Smith.
Long live Flash! You've saved your Earth. Have a nice day.